Hello, my dear friends. This is another show, another astrological voyages with me, with Christos Archos, and we are going to talk about plenty of things in this show. We are going to talk about a cluster of important events that are going to happen in the next days, and also we are going to talk about severe changes in the 12 zodiac signs and how this is going to affect the personality of the people. But also, we're going to talk about the Mercury eclipse that is going to affect a lot of people in the next days, about the important sextile between Saturn and Neptune. But also, we are going to talk about the triple conjunction in the 28th of November between Moon, Venus, and Jupiter. And as you can see, we are going to talk about many things about how our destiny is going to be fulfilled in the next days. But also, we are going to talk about you. So, you have any kind of question about astrology, about how I'm working with things, how I'm dealing with things. Oh, I see my video is having a problem. So, let's do something. 1 minute. Let's fix it. I'm sorry, I didn't knew that there was a problem, but we are going to fix it now. I hope you hear me very well and you don't have any problem while hearing me. But on the other hand, I don't know. Just write me if everything is okay with the voice, because we may have a problem. Okay, I think now you can hear me. I think now, and you can see me. Okay, so we are going to talk about the Mercury eclipse, about the Saturn having a sextile with Neptune, and also we are going to speak about the triple conjunction between Moon, Venus, and Jupiter. And I think this is a great opportunity for people to deal with their own problems, but also it's a great opportunity on understanding and dealing with our emotions and how we are understanding each other. On the other hand, I think that in the next days there's going to be an increase in tension, and we may have some problems in our everyday life. The reason is that we have this Mars having a square with Pluto, which is always a difficult aspect. But let's go according to the plan. And on the 5th of November 2019, we have this Venus forming a quincunx with Uranus. This is always a problematic aspect between you and your relationship, and also sometimes you may have a loss on your personal financial situation that you may need to be very careful when you look at it. Also, when we look at this Mars making a square with Pluto on 5th of 2019, this means always about rage, about aggressiveness, about tension, about about the need to be in control and also have a strategic thinking. On the other hand, this is an aspect that always brings a lot of problems to our everyday lives because of this aggressiveness. And also on the 6th of November 2019, we have this Venus forming a semi-square with Pluto, an aspect that always speaks about conflicts and problems that has to do with our everyday life and how we communicate, but also how to express our sexual tension, but also sometimes we may be very obsessive towards others. And on the 7th of November 2019, we may have some problem in our personal relationships because we have this Mars forming a semi-square with Venus. This aspect is always about conflict and problems, and it's going to affect a lot the first decade of Sagittarius, but also is going to affect a lot the third decade of Libra. On the 8th of November 2018, we have the sextile between Sun and Saturn, which I think is a great aspect between those two planets because it's going to help a lot of people to deal with their everyday life, and also is a great aspect in order to have a success in your business opportunities and also to have a good judgment in your life. And also we have the Sun trine Neptune on the 8th of November 2019. And this trine is great because it's going to affect Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but also it's going to affect Virgo and Taurus of the second decade. And this is always an aspect of having your dreams come true, about redemption, about expanses, about feeling cool with yourself and with others, about dealing with your life and your emotions, but also about getting out from a prison. I think this is a great aspect where we need to talk about our true emotions and about our sensitivities. And sometimes there is always a chance to open up to a person that we may not feel well to open up with them. Also, this is a great aspect about dealing with our everyday situations, because Neptune is not just about spirituality, is not just about feeling in love, it's about understanding, forgiving, and making our everyday life more in depth and have an increased interest in something. So I believe this trine is great for the watery signs of the second decade, but also about Virgo and Taurus, because this aspect is going to help you a lot in dealing and matching yourself and also bring something new in your life. Again, we have an important aspect. We have this Saturn making a sextile with Neptune. When I'm talking about this aspect, I'm always fascinated because I strongly believe that this is an aspect of forgiveness. This is an aspect of creativity. This is an aspect on finding our own personal God and communicate with Him. It's about having a spiritual pursuit and also understanding that we may have a chance to change our life, because usually with this kind of aspects we have to deal with in the next months, there will be a lack of clarity, and also sometimes we may not believe in ourselves. What is, I think, very important with this Saturn sextile Neptune is about believing in yourself, about changing the story, about changing how you deal with your everyday life. But also, I think it is about creating, developing, about changing, about believing, and about healing, about being creative, and also having a spiritual discipline that is going to help us to develop more in our life. And also, I think it is about having a new direction for our own dreams, about understanding how we are creating so many problems to our own lives and how we can get out of our prison. I think this sextile between Saturn and Neptune is a great opportunity to do something important for us. And especially Cancer, Capricorn, Taurus, and Scorpio of the second decade around the 15, 16, and 17 degree, they are going to have a huge pushing going forward. And I think you are going to become more happy with yourself and with your life. And also you are going to succeed in many levels. This is an aspect of being complete. This is an aspect of being happy, of being harmonious with others. But also, this is an aspect and a cycle that is going to affect a lot the globe. And I think a lot of people through this aspect, they are going to feel that something good really happens. Something good happens in these dark times. And I think a sense of hope, a sense of being complete, about changing your life, about the mass, understanding the importance of being a mass and changing the root of life, the root of history. Again, I think this is always an aspect about having a deeper and an inner understanding about our life, but also is about having new directions spiritually, but also in a fundamental earthy way. which has to do with how we deal with our emotions, because we know well that our emotions is the source of our negativity, and this bitterness and this lack of empathy sometimes may bring us to a collapse situation, because we do not trust ourselves, we do not trust our emotions, we do not trust on giving love to the others, perhaps because we have dealt with problematic people or with bad people, although they are not bad people, they are just problematic people or severely wounded people. So I think this is a time of redemption. This is a time of understanding and changing what is fundamentally important. And also, it's about uniting and reuniting and understanding the meaning of soul, the meaning of being one in a planet that it is called Earth, about changing the roots of a game, and about understanding how we are really dealing with our emotions. I think this is always an aspect about gaining new information about the cyclicity of life and about universal consciousness. It's not about spirituality, it's not about this global consciousness, it's about understanding our role as humans and also changing our life. So I think this is a great aspect, a great opportunity, especially for those of you that you have planets in Taurus, Scorpio, but also in Virgo, Pisces, around 15, 16, and 17 degree. And then again we have this Mercury forming a sextile with Pluto on the 10th of November 2019, which is I think a great aspect. It's going to help a lot the third decade of Taurus, Scorpio, and Cancer, Capricorn. I think this is always an aspect on dealing with business, about talk about our sexuality, about what turns us on, about what we want sexually, but also about how we can deal with psychological situations, and also about having deep conversations with other people, and also to persuade other people to what we really want, because this is a great aspect in having business dealings, and we can really change our own way of thinking through this aspect. Last but very important aspect is that of the sextile between Mars and Jupiter. This is an aspect that is going to bring a lot of joy and a sense of being very happy for Libra, Aries on the third decade, and also Gemini and Sagittarius on the third decade around the 24th, 25th, and 26th degree of those signs. I'm talking about this aspect as always, the fighter of flight. I think this is an aspect about confidence, about being successful, about dealing with everyday things, and about winning, about making something, about making profit, about being athletic, about being the winner of a situation, and also about being sexually abusive, but sometimes also sexually very, very, very provocative, which I think is also a great aspect in having a sexual relationship with someone. So you can really take the opportunity and grasp this thing, this great aspect, and I think you can really win, and you can really be very happy if you are a Gemini, Sagittarius, Aries, Libra, having planets in the 24, 25, or in the 26 of Libra, and all of these signs I've already talked about. Then again, I need to talk about a very important situation that we may have in the next days, and this is about the transit of Mercury on the November 11, 2019, around 1240 and 67, I think 1807, GMT of course, we are going to have this transit of Mercury, and this is an inferior conjunction that is going to happen very close to the planet's ascending node, producing a 5-hour transit of Mercury across the Sun disk, something that is going to be visible from all the North America, and also it's going to be visible in the Caribbean, in the South America, and also I think it is a great opportunity because the next Mercury transit is going to happen in 2032. And if you are in North America, the next one is not going to be visible in North America, is going to be visible in other parts. So if you really are into looking at this transit, you really have to go and look and see this transit of Mercury. I think this is a great opportunity. But astrologically speaking, because we are astrologers and we interpret the events astrologically, I think this is another great opportunity in understanding major things. I'm going to show you right now this aspect and this map, and I think you are going to love it. Wait a minute to show it to you, which I think is one of the greatest maps I ever seen in the last month. And just a minute, and I'm sorry for the blank page. I'm going soon to show you the chart, and this is the chart, and as you can see there is a conjunction between Sun and Mercury, and this chart is for New York. But if you can see, there is a small talent formed. We have Sun and Mercury having a conjunction in the second decade of Scorpio, and at the same time we have this trine with Neptune, and also both of these planets that have this trine, they are forming sextiles with Saturn. That it is called a small talent in Huber astrology. And at the same time we have this exact sextile between Mars and Jupiter, but also we are having this square between Venus and Neptune, and at the same time we have this moon forming a conjunction with Uranus, and at the same time a sesqui-square with Jupiter. I think this is about being alive. This is a chart about finding inner happiness, but also about being concrete, about being earthy, and about finding solutions to problems. This is also a conjunction of hope, a conjunction of going deeper and understanding our subconscious. But also I think it's about understanding how we can change our life. This is a great conjunction. This is a positive conjunction, and we have this small talent. And on the other hand, you can see that this Mars Jupiter is a great and exact sextile that tells us that good things are going to happen. Good things are going to be formed in the next days. People, they are going to be happy. They are going to feel complete. They are going to feel that changes happen. And also, they are going to feel that finally things are getting even better to their life. This is a great chart. It's about having a finally peace, and about having success in our everyday situations and about our everyday life. I think this is always about understanding that life has also a positive side, and you really need to look at it. You really need to take advantage of that. And finally, we have on the 28th of November a triple conjunction between Moon, Venus, and Jupiter, which is, I think, also always a great aspect, a great opportunity. What really happens is that while on the 28th of November, before sunrise, Mercury is at the greatest western elongation, something that is always great because that means that it's a time of finally finding solutions to the problems that arise through Mercury being retrograde. On the 28th of November, also after sunset, we have a young moon that meets Venus and Jupiter. You can see that in the southwestern sky for about an hour after sunset on Thursday 28th of November. Yeah, and we have a crescent moon, and also we can see this Venus and Jupiter all appear within just a few degrees. I think this is always and another triple conjunction about hope, about finding something great in our lives and dealing with it and make it become true. I think this is always a great conjunction about finding inner peace. But also, if you look at the chart, you can see that this is always a chart. Let me show it to you one moment, because I really need you to look also at the chart, because it's very important to look at the chart. Okay, this is the chart, and let me show it to you. Okay, so why you cannot see the proper chart? Oh, okay, I know why. Okay, wait a minute, I'm sorry, you will going to see it now. You can see the proper chart. Okay, so we can see a triple conjunction between Jupiter, Moon, and Venus. Don't forget that days before, Jupiter had a conjunction with the galactic center, which is another conjunction of hope, about changing our worldview, about believing ourselves, and of course is going to bring a lot of happiness to the people in the society. And on the other hand, we have this multiple triple conjunction between Jupiter, Moon, and Venus, and also Moon is going to be at the same time on the midpoint between Jupiter and Venus. And I think this is a great aspect that is going to bring a lot of new hope, a lot of new possibilities. And I think you are going to be very happy if you have planets in the end of the third decade of mutable signs: Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo. But also you are going to be really happy if you have planets in the first decade around the first, second, and third, or even fourth degree of Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries, because this is always a triple conjunction of having hope. And this triple conjunction is forming a trine with Uranus, about bringing change, about bringing new concepts and new ideas in our life. But also, again, we have this sextile of Mars with all these planets there, and at the same time there is this Mercury forming a trine with Neptune, which I've already said that it is a great opportunity about understanding what really happens in your own life and how you can change your life sooner or later. So those are the greatest events for this November, and I think you have to look closer, because perhaps a great opportunity may arise in your life and you should look at it, which I think is always of great importance. Enough about predictions, and today I'm going to talk about how solar returns are very important in our life. And When I'm talking about solar returns, if you don't know what is a solar return, means that the sun makes a complete circle around Earth, geocentrically, of course. In reality, Earth is making a complete circle around the sun, but astrologically speaking, the sun, when in exact conjunction with your natal sun, is what we call a solar return. And a solar return is one of the greatest predictive techniques in order to understand what really happens to your life. The first thing you have to look at it is if something happens in the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th house of the solar return, because it's about what is going really to happen when you have planets on those houses. Another important thing you have to look at it is the placement of the sun for this solar return, because it's going to tell you what is the biggest important thing you have to deal with in the next days or hours or year. Because if you look at the solar return, you can really understand not just when things are going to happen just in a year, but the exact moment that some things are going to happen in a year. And this is, of course, of great importance. Another great thing you have to look when you look at the solar return is about where the planets are in any aspect closer than 3 degrees. In any aspect. If yes, the solar return is forming any kind of aspect with your natal chart, and this aspect is less than 3 degrees orbit, that means less than 3 degrees orb, that means that this aspect is of great is great and is going to affect you a lot. Also, you have to look when where the solar return ascendant and midheaven falls in the natal chart. This is going to tell you the most important things about that are going to happen for the next year. Another great, I think, information is about looking at about the true node's degree. If there is any planet in the solar return or in the natal chart with the degree of the true node, the true transit node of the solar return, that means that this planet is going to fulfill its destiny, and you're going to feel what is really important through this aspect for the next year. Another great tip, I think, is always look at your perfections, about your annual perfections, because your annual perfected ascendant is going to give you which is the most important planet in your solar return. And the aspects the ruler of your perfected ascendant is forming in solar return and with the natal chart is going really to show you what is going to happen to your life in the next year. Another, of course, important event is always when you have planets in the solar return that are on the anaretic degrees 27th, 28th, 29, but also in the start of the sign around 0 or 1 degree. When you have planets on the anaretic degrees, that means that you are in a changing situation, that you are going to change a lot of things in your life. When you have planets in 0 or the 1st degree of any sign, that means that you're going to have new startings and you're going to begin new things, that you're going to be very happy. Another great tip about solar return is about looking the north node. If the north node, the transiting north node, of course, the north node of the return, is in conjunction with the ascendant or the midheaven, this is always important and is going to tell you that this year is about changing your life. And of course, if you're having any losing of the bounds, if you're having any change perhaps in your zodiacal releasing, and you're having these nodes having a conjunction with your transit, your solar return ascendant or the midheaven, that is always about having a great change in your life during this solar return, which I think is always important. Now, another question I'm always having is when I live, for example, I live in Athens, okay? So there is a possibility that in the 31st of May 2020, I'll be in Turkey to speak. So if that happens, that means that I have to do my solar return for Istanbul, Turkey. Well, that is not completely true, because I'm always believe that you should look the solar return in the place that you are going to live the most of the days of your life for that year. I'm going to live in Athens from the biggest percentage of the year, so I have to look about Athens. Of course, if I stay for, let's say, 14 days in Istanbul or 20 days in Rome, I should look for these specific 20 days my return having relocated, but just for these 20 days. If I go, for example, for just 3 days in New York and then come back to Athens, and I had my birthday in New York, that doesn't mean that my return is going to affect me in the New York chart. No, that is not going to happen. You cannot laugh with the universe. You cannot play jokes with the universe. You should look when you're going to stay the most of the time, and this is your true solar return. And finally, before I close another show of astrological voyages, I think that you have always to look closer about stelliums. When you have stelliums in your natal chart and also perhaps a stellium in your solar return, this is always a big light telling you that you are going to have a lot of events in this specific house. Always look at stelliums, always look at those important conjunctions. Also, you have to look your important midpoints, your sun and moon midpoint of this specific return, your ascendant midheaven midpoint in this specific return, and also perhaps a very important fixed star that it may be in conjunction with your ascendant midheaven, your sun and moon, or the ruler of your annual profected ascendant, which is always very important about what is going to happen in your life. Thank you very much for having time with me for another astrological voyages show. We are going in the next week having another astrologer with us. Jodie Forrest is going to be with us, and we are going to talk about synastry, emotions, unexpected planets, about retrogrades, and many more. So I'm waiting with you to talk with Jodie Forrest the next week and having a great conversation about astrology. Thank you very much for your time, and sleep well, wake up well, or whatever happens in your place. For Athens is 1:30 a.m. and I will hope for my fellow Greeks to have a good sleep, while for the Americans, I hope you are going to have a good afternoon and a good night. Thank you again for your time. Bye bye.